Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie, and this week's video we are going to be doing kind of a review, but also just what I did with Gather and Homeschools growing up with God for my 13-year-old and my almost 12-year-old. And I bound them because I really wanted to have these readily available for any time they ever had questions moving forward about their bodies, their development, any sort of thing like that. I wanted these to be readily available for us to just go to if we ever had any issues or questions that came up. I did choose to do level 3 with my girls for a couple of different reasons. So my first reason for doing it was we had been pretty open with them about body parts and all of that since they were little. And so I didn't feel like they needed a cursory look over anything. And then I've been pretty purposeful about protecting their innocence for as long as I possibly could. But I also recognize the world that we live in, and any young girl and young boy now even, there's always the chance that they will be preyed upon, that somebody might try and take advantage or suggest that they not talk to their parents about things that might happen. And I wanted my girls to be in a place, now that they're 13 and almost 12, to be in a place where they recognize the things that are happening to them before they get to a certain area. Just doing research and finding out, a lot of these girls will be like, I didn't know what was happening until it was like already done, and then trying to deal with the aftermath. I wanted my girls to have a certain amount of awareness already so that there wasn't any question mark about what was happening and why it might be happening, and to be on alert essentially, but not afraid. And so they know that they're taken care of and protected by their mom and dad, but I wanted that to be something that they were aware of should the need arise, and that under no circumstance is this a topic that mom can't know about, or we don't talk about that, or whatever. Because I mean, it was something that I grew up with. My mom passed away when I was 16, so who knows what might have come down the pipe later on. I was also a late bloomer as well, and so a lot of things just weren't talked about, and it wasn't clear and concise, and there's a lot of feeling like, well, maybe I'm broken or something like that. And so I wanted to take those thoughts and fears away from them early on, so that there was no question about who they are, how God made them, and how growing up with God was important. So with that reasoning, we did level 3 because I wanted it all laid out on the table, and I was a bit nervous because we were talking about the mechanics of sexuality and intercourse and puberty and all of those things. And I was talking about, there's a chapter here about boy development and stuff, and in a family where we have a child with autism, their older brother has autism, and for him, he is very much like Adam and Eve in the garden pre-sin. Like, there is no understanding, no awareness, I guess, about where things should go, or like there's none of that yet. And so he hasn't gone through this at all. I don't feel that it's necessary. I know that he is very well protected with us. And so that's kind of why I chose that. But they also have seen things because their brother is so open and completely, this is me, there's nothing wrong, which is quite humorous. And so, yeah, that was one of those things. So I really appreciated, because my nerves were, what are they going to think? Where are their brains going to go? Both girls were like, but I really appreciate how Rebecca Spooner talked about all of these issues, and it was just very clear, concise, to the point. And then it also brought in things like rape and just how sin has entered into what God had made as a gift, and how he has manipulated it and changed it. And these are the things that you need to be aware of, and just those types of things that I really feel, as we talked about them, took the awkwardness out. There was still some awkwardness, but it was more because my girls are not in a place where, well, I'm never going to do that or whatever, which was fine, because I'm like, that's exactly where you should be. You're 13 and 12, and that should be something that isn't in your brain that you want to do. But maybe one day, as you grow older and as you mature growing up with God, that you will find that you desire one day. And this is where God says it is the most fruitful and the best place for you, and the safest place for you. And so I really, really appreciated how these subjects were brought up, how we could chat about them and discuss them, and it just brought so many great conversations for me and my girls. And then, like I said, as they do get older and I feel like we need to just revisit some things, we can go back, because I have them still, and we can talk about them again. And so I really feel that this was such a valuable thing, even though I did it when my girls were quite a bit younger than the suggested for level 3. So that is my review. I am a huge fan. I have the boy as well one, but that one won't be done until there's more awareness and the need for it for my son. At this point, there is none. So the other thing that I did is I pulled out some books. Just different ones that were one of our read alouds. These were a couple of our read alouds. Was Pippi Longstocking, just because the conversation was so awkward and they weren't looking forward to it, and they're kind of cringy and stuff. So I made sure some of our read alouds were fun and silly and goofy, so that wasn't a problem. And then Frazzled, this one was like, both the girls said these were weird because they're supposed to be quirky and silly, but this one was kind of funny because it was like the over dramatics of a middle school girl, and so those were the ones that the girls were like, I don't know, because they don't think that they're over dramatic at all. Mommy disagrees. I just pulled out books that I thought were like about growing up and the growing up theme. So another one was The Ordinary Princess. And Nara read it, and if it's not something that she picks, she's like, meh. So I'm not really sure, but I really liked the idea of that one. Anne of Green Gables. If you're Canadian, there's even a movie and a show about it. My girls think it's very weird, but I'm like, I grew up in Canada, so I like, this is awesome, because it was the shows we watched. I did get Miss Sienna, this Anne of Green Gables one with the graphic novel, because she has struggled to read and enjoy it. We got some Mandy books, again, growing up. These ones I thought were very fun and cool. So 50 True Stories of Daring Women of God. This one we're going through over the summer, and I really think that it's worthwhile reading. This is Girls Who Looked Under Rocks. So just things that the girls appreciated. And then I also, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know over the course of this last year, we've been doing studies on the fruits of the Spirit. And we finished that up in June. Very excited, very happy with that. I will be going over it again, say in their, maybe in Nara's grade 11 year, revisiting it, because I keep telling the girls that I not only want you to grow up having a strong understanding of math and arithmetic and all of those other things, I really want you to have a strong foundation in your faith and who you believe in, what you believe in, and so that when you go out into the world, you won't be shaken. And so this was a big part of it, and saying that the fruits of the Spirit are your toolbox, the toolbox God gives you for dealing with things that are struggles, right? So if they're fighting with their sibling, I'm like, which fruit of the Spirit can you use to deal with that in a way that God would find righteous and not sin in your anger or your frustration or whatever. So that was a big one when we're talking about growing up with God. I want my girls to have this strong foundation. And then I also had bought these quite a while ago, and this is just growing up God's way. And they have the same information, just written differently by different authors. But these are written by 2 doctors. And I would recommend these books as well for the same reason. Gentle, rooted in God's Word. It addresses the emotional issues as well as biology. I'll read it to our 11-year-old, or I read it with our 11-year-old and enjoyed it together with a minister's wife, excuse me. So these ones are also ones that I keep on hand so that the girls can come by and read it anytime they want. Darian will probably get this later on. So that is my review. That's the things that I thought about it, why I did level 3 with them, even though they're younger. And I hope that this kind of takes, like, if you're wondering about and you're not sure about it, I hope that that kind of helps take the the strain off, because it is such this topic in particular can cause a lot of shame depending on how you grew up and what you feel about it, what you chose to do with sexuality and your development and stuff, and then talking about it with your kids can feel like just insurmountable. And I really wanted my girls to hear it from me so that they knew right off the bat that they didn't need to go to a friend who might have false information. I wanted them to feel confident that this is something that mommy and daddy have no problem with discussing and talking. They probably feel a little awkward with daddy, but I kept reiterating to them just how much daddy's input in their life is so important, because he is a guy and he knows those things a lot more than even mommy does, and like really speaking into that relationship that a daughter needs to have with her father or with their father, and prepping them for like dating and stuff. What does that look like? And yes, your daddy is going to be looking fairly stringently at these young men who may be interested, but that is such a gift to have, and I really want them to know that their parents are the ones that they can come to. So I just really appreciated how this unit has gone for us, and I just hope that that encourages you, even if you do feel awkward, that you're always going to be a better source for your kids because you love them, and you're going to not give them a perverted version of this. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful, and that you learned something or appreciated something of that I said. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Wonderful.